This is Blackout Radio, media for the 21st century. Grand Rising family, welcome to the 54 Correspondent Show on the Blackout Fire Network Media for the 21st century. I hope that everyone is doing well on the 28th day of July, the year 2021. This is a 54 Correspondent Show. We're going to discuss different issues taking place around the beautiful continent of Africa. And we hope to engage with you with some of the issues facing the continent, as well as coming up with solutions to some of the challenges that are facing as a people right here on the continent. My name is Faith, and I do hope that you are doing well. And I want to welcome you so much to yet another interesting episode. We do say Karibuni in Swahili. I just played you some wonderful intro. In case you realize that is some West African music, it has some Afrobeat element to it. If you have been listening to the likes of Fela Kuti, you would notice the elements in that particular, there is some twist in and some elements in that particular song, in that particular beat. And it's very similar to what Fela Kuti was making, who has been known as the father of the Afrobeat. It also has some jazz in it as well. And I do know that Afrobeat as well is also music with a soul. And that is what we aspire to share with you right here on the Blackout Fire Network, even on our radio stream. We are also hoping that you can be able to join us there and enjoy to easy listening of the music on the go. We do have a very interactive website and also an app. You can visit our official website, which is www.blackoutfirenetwork.com. Once you are on the website, please create your own profile on the website. And of course, you can also download the app. The app is available on Play Store. When you are on Play Store, you can find our app there. And please do let us know your experience on the app. If you have had a wonderful experience or if you have had any challenge with the app, please do let us know, because we seek to consistently make the experience better for everyone, even on the app. I was playing and telling us a little bit about the Afrobeat. And when you talk about West Africa and the West African music and also the influence of Afrobeat in West Africa, right now Afrobeat is a kind of music that everyone is playing around the continent of Africa. There are many traditional dances that have come up on the scene. Others, of course, have been repeated. Others have been revamped. But I want to share with us the names of three common traditional West African dances. And dance was part and parcel of the life of the African. It still is, even right now. If you're talking about different festivals, people have been known to use these particular festivals to show their best dance. So even when it comes to celebration, when it comes to other different festivals, and other different events, occasions, people have been known to come up together and use dance as a way to connect people. Dance has also been used as a way to express, and dance has been used in so many ways. And I want to share with us briefly before we start the matter of traditional African dances. I am not sure, but I have seen some of them really, getting overboard. If you do ask me, some West African dances really seem to be overboard, and others really seem to be just there. But I want to share with us some three of the common traditional African dances. And like I was saying, rhythm is part, and the African is a person who is a person who lives with the rhythm. And of course, we do express ourselves even using dance. And also, another part of the music was a drum. At some point, the drum was used not just for entertainment and music. The drum in Africa has also been used to be known for communication. People would play drums in a given pattern, and that would be understood to be a communication, or it would be understood to be a given message being given to the fellow people in the community. But today, we do not have the real use of drums in any community trying to communicate anything. You shall find just drums being used for the sole purpose of just blending and making the music much better. But yes, there are the traditional dances I want to share with you, and one of them was known as the gombi. The gombi, is a traditional dance which was really common during the harvest. It was also known as a harvest dance. There was also another dance known as lamban. Lamban was a dance of celebration, and there was also another dance known as a sunu. Sunu was a celebration, was a dance for the wedding. There was, when you're doing a wedding ceremony or you do have a wedding festivities, there was a dance known as a sunu, and that was conducted really to show or celebrate a wedding ceremony going on. And I want to share with us briefly one of these dances, traditional dances, so that you can get to see what I am talking about before we go into the matters of what is happening on the beautiful continent of Africa, because that is what we are all about right here on the Blackout's Fire Network, media for the 21st century. This is one of the traditional dances that was used especially during the times of the wedding ceremony. And this is by the Mizikeda people. Let me share it with you. Then we shall get back into what is happening on the continent of Africa. But it's also important that we get to highlight our culture. And of course, that was a little bit of the African traditional dances when it comes to wedding ceremonies. And I think some community, it was by the Mid-Kenda community. The Mid-Kenda community, you'll find it in the coastal province of Kenya, but also even in West Africa, we do have other different ethnic groups or tribal groups that do have their own tribal dances, and they do get to showcase them during different occasions. Like I was saying, one of them has been done during the wedding ceremonies. Others are also done during the harvest. Others are also done during even funerals. You'll find, you'll find also during funerals and other different festivities, different kinds of weddings, different kinds of dances being enjoyed by our African people. Personally, I do. I'm left. I cannot really dance. I do not know about you, but please do let us know if you do know of any traditional dance and have you participated in any traditional dance. I can learn, but it's also difficult. I do not really know how to dance, but nonetheless, that is a little bit of the dances by different communities. Let me share with us one more dance by a different traditional community, and this is the Dogon community. If you have heard about the Dogon community is found in West Africa. You will find them in areas such as countries such as Mali, the present day Mali. But of course, the Dogon were also spread out. Before their location in Mali, they were also spread out in other different parts of the continent. But what has been happening is that the Dogo have kept their knowledge. They have the shamans among them, and they have also kept their knowledge of the cosmos. If you are trying to understand better the cosmos, and you're looking for African knowledge on the cosmos, you will find it also largely among the Dogon people. And the Dogon people are also known to love their dances. Their dances are particularly more spiritually inclined because I do believe that the dances raises the vibration. But nonetheless, this is a little bit of the Dogon dances are from West Africa, and this is a little bit of how they go about them. This even seems rather difficult. If you were to compare this and the other dances, these ones you have to be on these sticks, and you might even injure yourself doing these dances. And I believe not everyone would partake of this dance. Not everyone would be involved in doing these dances. I think these are for the experts, or there are some individuals who are trying to do these by the Dogons, and they also do accompany these dances with wearing of face masks, depending on what they are celebrating and depending on what they are symbolizing with them. The Dogon people really are some of the people with rich African knowledge and African science. If you're looking for people, the knowledge of African science, the Dogon people really are the people to find in West Africa. They are found in the present day Mali, but like I said, they were also spread out in other parts of the continent of Africa. Some of these dances, I believe, are even said to, take them to another realm, not just this realm, but even help them break through or communicate with the other different realms because they are really, really complicated. They are done as a part of rituals, I do believe, in West Africa. But for the other one I want to now is from the Mijikenda community. The Mijikenda community is found in the coastal provinces of Kenya, and they also do speak Kimijikenda, and they also do speak Swahili. So that was a wedding dance. That wasn't really really much complicated. I don't think the wedding dance is really that intricate or really that difficult. That of course was for the women. There are also different dances on the continent that were, of course, divided. You could not have these dances being done by women. Others could not be dances being done by men. But there were also shared dances. There were dances for women, and then there were also other dances for men, and then there were also some other dances that you now bring together men and women. And at the end of the day, like I was saying, an instrumental part of that was the drums, because the drums and the rhythm they go hand in hand. And also the drums, like I said earlier, were also used to communicate. You would find different messages being communicated by the use of the drum in Africa, and that is how you would know that something is happening in the community. Maybe perhaps when there was the announcement of a wedding, or when there is an announcement of a funeral, or when there is the announcement of this and that. Instead of just getting to engage people direct one-on-one conversation, people would also use drums to communicate something. There was also other elements of communication in Africa. I'm not saying these elements are backward. I'm just saying that they were used because they were found to be, working, functional. There was also the use of the smoke signals. If war was there was an attack on a community, and this particular attack, people do not have enough time to go telling everyone. Or when there's a call for a meeting, there's a meeting that has to be done. There's a meeting for men or the elders of this particular community. Instead of just having to go get every other or send a messenger out to every other man, there would have been sometimes smoke signals were also being used as a mode of communication right here in Africa. These days, of course, people say it is an advancement where we do have the use of the phones, but there are the pros and the cons of having to use phones. Those days, you'd have either the use of drums, the beat of a drum, a given pattern is played. And when a given pattern is played, you would know that that particular pattern symbolizes a given message, or this particular pattern says this and that. So we are supposed to act in this particular kind of a way. That is the kind of a thing that used to happen with different African communities. But nonetheless, I want to go into the matters of the day and what has been happening in Africa. Of course, there are so many things going on right now. For example, yesterday I was letting us know what has been happening in Mali. The same country I was telling you about, the Dogon people. Right now, there has been the transitional leader, and there was a coup that was done, orchestrated last year in August. And since the last year in August, a whole year later, because now in a few days we shall be in August, a whole year later, the people of Mali are still being run by a transitional government. It's a transitional government that is running this particular country. And this particular transitional government is also headed by a member of the military junta. And the member of this military junta recently was faced an attempted assassination when he was in a mosque. And what did happen eventually is that the suspect was apprehended. When he tried to stab these interim president in Mali, in a mosque in Mali. So when he was apprehended, of course, investigation was started. Started, but the investigation really did not also go very far, because they are saying that the suspect did die in custody. And for me, if you're telling me that a suspect has died in custody, just as you are doing the investigation, or as you're conducting the investigation to know what was happening with that, I would tend to believe that there has been the people there. There is a hand in trying to cover up the matter. There is a hand in trying to cover up the matter of this investigation. They are saying even if the witness has died, they are continuing with the investigation, which I believe is some nonsense. I do know that there is someone who has foiled that particular investigation, either the government itself in Mali, or either other people who have been involved in that did get to these murderer, or the assassin earlier. Let me just call him the assassin. And this is an element of showing that stability can only be found even within this particular year that we are getting into, the new year that we shall be getting into after the coup, because we shall be passing a 1 year mark. And the people went to the streets in Mali. When they took the streets, they were saying that they need to have a civilian role. But what happened is that there was not an agreement there was not an agreement between the people that had conducted these coup and the protesters or the opposition who are demanding for a civilian rule. So what was really agreed upon is a transitional government in Mali, and this transitional government was meant to serve for a period of about 1 year, and then by the period of 1 year in Mali, there was supposed to be an election. But to where we are right now, there is still not any possibility or any hopes that there will be a government being made in Mali. So in as much as we might go back into African culture and African history and say that Mali was once a great kingdom, and a kingdom where we did have the very first colleges in the world, the very first colleges in the world that were actually built up in a place known as Timbuktu. And Timbuktu is actually in Mali. If you go back into the rich culture of the Mali people, you'll also find that the richest man in African history, or in the history of the whole world, was Mansa Musa, who was also from Mali. But if you try connect these two, connect those the elements of our history, those years back, maybe about 300 years back, and what you do have right now as Mali, it is really, really a shame what Mali has descended to become. Because at some point, like I said, it was a hallmark of our excellence in Africa. It was a place where we did have the very, very first colleges in Africa. And then from that, the colleges did spread out around the world. And then we started having universities even in other places in the world. We also, like I told you, did have the riches that made this Mansa Musa. I do believe maybe you have heard about Mansa Musa, become the richest man in the history of the world. I don't think there's anyone else that have been said to have been rich as Mansa Musa. Of course, his wealth was gold backed. His wealth was gold backed. And he once took a pilgrimage tour. He once took a pilgrimage tour when he left West Africa and decided he shall be going into Mecca. So when he left, he actually left West Africa. He had to go to Mecca through Egypt. So he left West Africa, went all the way to North Africa. And then from North Africa, he was to cross over into Saudi and then get to Mecca. So on his way, he did have a caravan which did have hundreds of men moving with him. And he also did carry with him bags of gold. And also his horses, the way you do have some of the horses that he was moving around with, his horses of all his modes of transport. He used to have also gold, gold ornaments and other things like that, also with his own caravan. And when he got to Egypt, he was said to have spent too much gold and even given some of it away, that he did get to upset the economy, or the economy of the economy of Egypt. And that is from his wealth. This was a man who really, was generous, and he was really, really wealthy. Gold was not a problem for Mansa Musa. And of course, eventually, there was a following. He was followed back by some of these bad elements that also did get to play a role in terms of conquering the empire after he went on that particular tour, which is something to be said that that wasn't really a wise move. If you do get to ask me, that wasn't really a wise move. And nonetheless, I will move away from West Africa, and I'll take us all the way back into the 254. And when I talk about the 254, I am talking about Kenya. So what has happened really is that there has been. We all know that in Kenya we do have 47 different groups in Kenya. And these 47 different groups do include different ethnic groups. For example, we do have the Kikuyu, we do have the Luo, we do have the Mijikenda, like I said earlier. We do have the Somali, we do have the Maasai, we do have the Borana, we do have the Rendile, we do have the Kalenjin, we do have we all do have all these sorts of ethnic groups in Kenya. I may not remember the 44, the 47, the names of them, but there was a time when there was a time when there was a claim by the Indians in Kenya. The Indians in Kenya came up and they were claiming citizenship status, and also they were claiming to be recognized by the government of Kenya as being part of the fabric, or being part of, as being part of the Kenyan fabric. So what they were saying is that we have been here for 100 years, and most of them, of course, were brought in by the British. When the British colonizers were here in Kenya, what was happening is that they brought in Indian workers, and these Indians were involved in the construction of the railways, in some of them involved in the construction of our roads, some of them involved in the construction of other things, other structures, the infrastructure. So what eventually did happen is that some of these Indians went back to their country in India. Some other Indians remained around in Kenya after they were brought by the British. And also, after independence, the British, of course, went back. Not all of them. Most of the British colonizers went back, but there were a few that remained, and there were also a big community of the Indians that also did remain. This is not just for Kenya. This has happened in many other different countries on the continent of Africa. Anywhere the British went, they brought with them the Indians as a buffer class as well, and also put them on a pedestal, saying this is also, the buffer class. Then they put the African at the bottom. And what did happen some years back? I believe that was maybe 5 years ago, about 4 years ago. I'm not really certain what year it was. But these Indians were claiming that they have been here for a very, very long time. They have been here for a very, very long time, and they also need to be recognized as part and parcel of the Kenyan fabric. Being given identity cards, being given citizenship, and also be allowed to live here because they have been here their families have been here for generations, and therefore they have a valid claim to the citizenship of this particular country. But I believe that did happen. I think they were given a citizenship status. I think they were given a citizenship status by the government. That was by the Kibak's government, and also by the subsequent Uhuru Kenyatta's government. So now that is that story apart. There has also now been another group that has been here in Kenya for so many years. They have been here in Kenya for so many years. And these are the Shona people of Southern Africa. Before we did have after the 1884 Berlin Conference, Africa really was just we did not have borders. We did not have these countries. Before the Berlin Conference, that really did split Kenya, really did split Africa into small, tiny countries. People were free to move around. For example, you would find the Maasai community, maybe someone coming from the present day Kenya, for example, the Maasai community, moving all the way to Southern Africa, going to places like Tanzania, because we also do have the Maasai in Tanzania. The Maasai would also move from Tanzania, go into Zambia, because Zambia is just this border as Tanzania. And then from Zambia, they would also go to Zimbabwe. From Zimbabwe, they would also go to South Africa, and they would also come, go the other way into West Africa, go the other way into North Africa, and everywhere else. The African was able to move very, very freely. And back then, we did not have nationality such. Now, I'm a citizen of Kenya, I'm a Zambian citizen, I am a whatever citizen. We did not have such kind of a thing before the 1884 Berlin Conference and the subsequent colonization of Africa and the partitioning of Africa. We did not have those kinds of boundaries known as nations, what we also need to abandon right now. But for the purposes of the takeover, the purposes of the partition of the continent of Africa by the European, the continent was partitioned into Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Uganda, Rwanda, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia. We also do have all these are the different countries, and that you might think of, the 54 of them that you might think of on the African continent. So what was happening is that there were some people that did come into Kenya, and these are the Shona communities. These are the Shona communities from Southern Africa. The Shona communities is finally mostly found in Zimbabwe. The Shona community is also found in South Africa. So some of them had moved up and they came into Kenya. And for a very, very long time. They have been here for so many years. For a very, very long time, they have not been integrated into the Kenyan. They have not been integrated into the Kenyan community. From the 1960s and even way before that, they have not been integrated in the Kenyan community. They have been living here, generations of them, but they were not really given citizenship status. But right now they have been the recognition. Right now, I do believe this is a good move to give the recognition to the Shona people, and give them a recognition and also allow them to become Kenyans, because they are Africans, regardless of whether you're coming from South Africa or Zimbabwe or Zambia or whatever. We are just Africans, and we should not have this mentality of this is an African, these are the Zimbabwean, they are not Kenyan, they're African. That kind of a thinking was brought in order to divide us as a people on the continent, and also in order to make sure that we are easy to conquer. So more than 800 members of the Shona community in Kenya have been granted national identity cards after existing as a stateless people for generations. The official documents will allow them to access banking services, including the healthcare, education, and financial services for the very first time. We do have the example of Azefania Mungani, who was saying that she feels like a newborn, jumping up and down for being made a Kenyan today. And this was a part of their struggle. Let me share a video of the part of the struggle, and you can get to understand their journey.
For the first time, children and young people who are part of the Shona community here in Kiambu are registering their births. And with the help of the United Nations Refugee Agency, it's the first step towards gaining a birth certificate. It's a very different scene from the one we filmed just a few weeks ago. Without a birth certificate, children and teenagers like Peter felt their futures were bleak.
Next year I'll be Form 4 and I have to do my end of secondary education, and I have to have the certificates, the birth certificates and the rest, but I cannot get that birth certificate because I'm not recognized in Kenya. So I cannot do anything because I have to shatter my dreams and my goals.
But it was through seeing Peter speaking in our report that the UNHCR felt motivated to step up their campaign in Kino.
Peter's story broke to us a week ago. It came to me from our office in Geneva, and I shared it with the Shona community. They asked what's being done, and I immediately already told them that with our partner we were contacting civil registry, and civil registry was organizing a mobile bus.
So it actually comes as a shock to me, really, when I find that giving other people citizenship status is difficult. Giving other fellow Africans citizen status in any African countries is difficult, but giving citizen status to the Indians is easy, which is really a backward kind of a thinking, because the Shona people from Zimbabwe, these have been parts and parcel of our communities for a very, very long time. And like you said, before the 1884 Berlin Conference, you would have people move anywhere around the continent without being asked whether you were this or whether you were being that. There wasn't any kind of a thing like Congo or like Nigeria or Niger or all these the different names that you have had of different communities. They were really sort of blocked. But right now, because of the partition of the continent of Africa, it has become very, very difficult for even the African people to embrace each other as one. Because you're told, no, you're Zambian, I cannot really relate with Zambian. You are Tunisian or you are Ethiopian, I cannot really relate with that. And that has been the undoing of our people. Brother Big Cheese, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. I hope that you are doing well, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the broadcast show for today. And I hope that you are also doing well in Chicago. So nonetheless, I want to move away from the matter of Kenyans and allowing the Shona community from Zambia to become part and parcel of Kenyans. That is, of course, a very, very good move. I would applaud the move because I do believe at the end of the day, it's a good thing to really not see each other as a Zimbabwean or see each other as a Tunisian or a Tanzanian. It's just a good thing to make sure that we just see each other as an African or as one people, regardless of what country you are coming from. You remember sometimes back we were talking about the issue of xenophobia. Xenophobia has done a very, very big damage in the South African nations, because we were seeing businesses being destroyed, businesses belonging to fellow Africans being destroyed. And this was because they were saying, no, this is a business by a Mozambican, or this is a business by a Namibian, or this is a business by another different kind of a nationality. But at the end of the day, if you go back, like I was saying before the 1884 Berlin Conference, you just realize that we are just one people, regardless of what you might have heard about a different community or a different group of people. We are just one and the same. I want to take us to the matter of the day, and our point of discussion today will be the matter of Ivory Coast. In Ivory Coast, there has been some developments that have come up. First and foremost, we did have the elections that did take place in 2011 in Ivory Coast, and these elections, ended up diverting into chaos. And there was a civil unrest. There was a civil unrest in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, of course, is a West African nation. If you're wondering where Ivory Coast is, let me just share with us that real quick where Ivory Coast is, so that you can just have a background on what we are talking about. Because our point of focus today will be Ivory Coast and what has been happening there for a long time. So as you will see here, as you will see on these particular map or these particular image, Ivory Coast is a West African country, a former French colony. This is Ivory Coast. It's also known as Côte d'Ivoire. It has two names. You can either call it Ivory Coast, and or you can also call it Côte d'Ivoire. And it neighbors Ghana. It neighbors Ghana. It also neighbors Liberia. It also borders Guinea. It also borders Mali, and it also borders Burkina Faso in the north right here. So what has been happening in Ivory Coast is that there was a former president. He was known as Gbagbo, Laurent Gbagbo. And this Laurent Gbagbo was in power in this particular country up to 2011. And of course, in 2011, there was an election that did take place in 2011. And when this election did take place, the results were contested. The results were really, really contested. And eventually, there broke out a civil war in this particular country because of the contested results of these elections. So Laurent Gbagbo was the incoming president, was a president at that particular time since 2000 until 2011. And of course, he was arrested in 2011. He was imprisoned also earlier in the 1970s, and again in the early 1990s. And he also lived in exile in France during much of the 1980s as a result of his union activism in his home country, which is Ivory Coast, or also you can also call it Côte d'Ivoire. In 2011, the results were in the support of the incoming president. Today's incoming president, he is known as Alassane Outarra. So after these contested elections in 2011, there broke out a war that led to the loss of lives of about 3,000 people, more than 3,000 people. But that is not the point of a condition that has come up. When this did happen, there was the arrest of the president, Laurent Gbagbo, and there was also the arrest of the wife of Laurent Gbagbo. And there was something the wife of Laurent Gbagbo actually did say. She was saying that the French did kick out his husband, her husband, in this particular country. And this, let me share with us also what she was also saying right here. Because she was seen to be the leader, even when her husband was a president. She was seen to be to be the one who was in power in this particular country. Her name, of course. Let me just get a real name real quick. Her name was Simone. And of course, this was the second wife of the president, Gbagbo, Laurent Gbagbo. Of course, he had three wives, and she did bear these particular president two daughters, And of course, after they divorced, there was also she also did get other daughters at the end of the day. But nonetheless, what is happening right now is that there was after 2011. There was a sending of Laurent Gbagbo to the International Criminal Court, and the International Criminal Court was charging this former president with the issue of crimes against humanity, because it was understood that under his rule or under his orders, the military personnel were involved in killings in this particular country after the elections, and even over his period of tenure. He was using the military as a way of silencing his opponents in this country, and he was actually being accused of crimes against humanity, and therefore he was actually taken to the Hague, or the ICC, the International Criminal Court. And at the International Criminal Court, he of course has been acquitted very, very recently. And right now, he has been able to go back into his own country. I believe he went back to the country at around when was that? I believe about 2 months or 3 months ago. That is when they let Gbagbo out of the International Criminal Court, and they were saying he was free to go home around March. That was about 3 months ago. Yeah, that was about 3 or 4 months ago. When he was actually allowed to go back home. But the people of Ivory Coast, the people whose families were actually displaced, others whose members of the families were victims of the killings, they are yet still to be compensated. They are still yet to have any kind of a justice for these misdeeds that were done against them by the government of Laurent Gbagbo. This is him on the picture, as you can see. This is Laurent Gbagbo. They were saying Ivory Coast ex-president Gbagbo was free to go home after the ICC acquittal. It did pay the paperwork for his return, where he still is an influential figure. He had been charged in a connection with violence following the disputed elections in 2010 that left 3,000 people dead. He's the first former head of state. He is the first former head of state to go on trial at the ICC, and he did deny all the allegations against him over the bloodshed that was occasioned in the country after the post-election violence in his nation, which is known as Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire. Mr. Gbagbo, who is 75 years, gave a thumbs up at the War Crimes Court in Hague after the ruling, according to the AFP news agency. Some people did support him. His supporters gathered at the grassroots outside. And recently, I believe about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he was able to return to his own country. The former president was in court alongside the early and a former youth leader, Charles Blégod, who was accused of leading a militia backing him. They were both acquitted in 2019, but the prosecution had appealed what was seen as a shock decision. It was really also clear to them. And therefore, he was allowed to go back home. So what is the whole story? Right now, when he has gone back home, there were rivals. The two of them were rivals. Mr. Gbagbo and Alassane Outarra, they have been rivals for a very, very long time. But right now, they have resolved to work out their differences and go into, a reconciliation, or lead the country towards a reconciliation, because this is also another country that has many different ethnic groups, and some ethnic groups at some point they have felt that they have been left out of the whole process in terms of reconciliation, or in terms of being represented in the government. And yesterday was their first meeting. When they were supposed to meet, and they did say that they have chosen to resolve their matters and work towards the reconciliation and the peace process in Ivory Coast. So I do believe this is a good thing. We do have two former leaders. This reminds me also of Sudan. In Sudan, there was also another different kind of an incident where we did have Slovakia. Slovakia was the leader, and now we also do have Riek Machar. Riek Machar, also the two opposing leaders in South Sudan, also decided to come together and start the peace and the reconciliation process in South Sudan. So this is a little bit of what did happen. Yes, they were supposed to have a meeting yesterday. The two adversaries, President Alassane Outarra and the former President Laurent Gbagbo, did meet yesterday, and of course the 10 years after the war that pitted them against each other and brought Cote d'Ivoire to its knees. And the Ivorian president made this announcement during the Council of Ministers Assembly on 21st July. The meeting was then officially announced by Amadou Kalibri, the Minister for Communication, the government spokesman. He stated that Outarra and Gbagbo had been in contact over the past few days to prepare for the symbolic meeting. I do believe this is a good thing, and this is a good step towards it's actually a good step towards resolving the differences in this country that has been fighting for a long time, and also that where people do not even see eye to eye. I do believe the communities in Ivory Coast are so many. I do believe there might be 100 over 100 of them. Let me just confirm, because division amongst tribal groups have also been a big factor in terms of the fighting in Ivory Coast. Let me just confirm how many tribes are there in Ivory Coast. I do believe there are over 100. And the funny thing is that even as you talk about tribalism, they are saying Ivory Coast has a rich cultural heritage with more than 60 ethnic groups. The Baole, the Bete, the Guro, the Diola. These are some of the examples of the ethnic groups from the country. They can be divided into main groups. The Aka, the Gu, the Klo, and the Mande. What you find is that if you to take 3 countries in West Africa, peace to you too, Sister Liberia. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. I am talking about the resolve by the 2 adversaries in West African nation of Ivory Coast to come together and work towards peace and reconciliation for their people. And this is the incumbent president, Alassane Outarra, and also Laurent Gbagbo, who was the first ex-president to be taken to the ICC and charged for crimes against humanity. But I was saying that the division in Africa has been brought about by the matter of the different ethnic groups. We do have over 60 ethnic groups in Ivory Coast. I think especially West Africa is notorious for these division. If you're talking about any other part of the continent, I think West Africa is notorious. If you go to the neighboring countries such as Ghana, you will also find about 80 of them. Let me just confirm how many they are in Ghana, because it seems like West African people, we do talk about rich cultural heritage, but then again, I think it's too much. So if you go to the neighboring community, you will go into Ghana, which neighbors Ivory Coast. Ghana has 100 ethnic groups, which is different communities. We have these and that, we have these and that. These are our customary practices. These are your customary practices. This is our worship, our spiritual system. That is your spiritual system. There is 100 of them in Ghana. There is 60 ethnic groups in Ivory Coast. If you go to Nigeria, you will find 200 different ethnic groups. If you go to Cameroon, you will find about 150 different ethnic groups. If you go, if you move around the continent of Africa and talk about the ethnic groups and also talk about the languages, you will find about 1,500 different languages, which is really a lot, because most of these languages, sometimes you do find some of them can just be combined into one because they are almost the same thing, but people have divided themselves because they are thinking that even when they divide themselves, there is something to be benefited or there is something to be gained, and maybe they will be able to say, because they will be able to bring themselves into one small group. But because of all these divisions, that is why we have lacked an understanding as an African people. Personally, in Kenya, we do have about 47 different ethnic groups. And even when I'm walking by, I cannot really tell what people are saying. Sometimes it brings a whole lot of confusion. Of course, there is understanding, and you are one people. But because of these divisions, small divisions, you might not even know what people are saying, and they are just around you, your neighbors and people that you are walking by. You have no idea what they are communicating about. But nonetheless, there has been a push that was championed by the recent president of Tanzania, who just died some months ago, who did call for the African people to embrace the use of Swahili as the continental language, the language of the continent. Tanzania was part of the South African Development Corporation, And so when he was speaking, when Dr. John Kapombe Magufuli, the late president of South Africa, of Tanzania, was talking to the people of the SADC, he did talk to them and ask them if they could get to embrace the language of Swahili, so that we can have one language that can be able to unite us, either between East Africa and Southern Africa. And I do believe the same can also be proliferated and also spread out into West Africa, because when we start coming together and understanding one another as an African people, I do believe we do have everything to gain from that. Because some of the time we do find, because of the misunderstandings and because of the misperceptions and also because of poverty. Right now, not many people have been able to have an outside view from their own country. If you are living in Equatorial Guinea, not many people know what happens in the neighboring Guinea-Bissau or in the neighboring country. They do not have an idea what really happens there, because most people have been in poverty. And because of this poverty, it's like people are not even able to travel or even have an expansive view of the African continent, because people are locked into their small tribal cocoons. So therefore, you think it's only your tribe, you think of only your community, and that has also led to people, not being on the same page, as I might call it, not being on the same page. I do believe if we were to go back and start understanding one another as the African people, then maybe we will be able to have a better understanding of what it is to be African, and have one sense of a collective African consciousness. Because if you do have a collective African consciousness, then we will be able to see what is happening around us, and also what enemies are we facing, and also what do we need to do to get back into a place of global prominence as one people. I thought the African continent was all coming together, but their focus should be on the world of the people. The thing is, the African people have been striving to come together, but because of these leaders, the quote-unquote leaders, when it comes to matters, for example, elections, and they want to be voted in, they look at their blocks or their voting blocks in terms of communities, in terms of tribes. So someone will come up and say, I am from this tribe, you people should vote for me because we are the same tribe, or you people should vote. That is the time when tribalism and the tribalism comes up. But on a regular day, when people are trying to combat the challenges in the economy, they do not move along tribal lines, which is one of the things that has divided us to a very, very large extent. But nonetheless, I want to applaud the move by the former president of Ivory Coast, and also the current president, Outarra in Ivory Coast. Both of them are French puppets. Believe me, both of them are French puppets. But if they can do anything to work towards the reconciling of the people in that particular country, and also towards the peace in that particular country, then that would be a wonderful, wonderful move. And I would like to applaud them for that. And nonetheless, this has been the 54 correspondent show on the Black Outarra Network. Today, I just wanted to touch on briefly on those matters. And I do believe they are very, very much important because, peace, you cannot have development without peace. And that is just what it is. You cannot have any kind of a development without stability, without peace and stability. For many African countries like Somalia, these are countries that have not known peace and stability for a very, very long time, and there is no development or progress taking place, either economic or political or otherwise. It's just a whole lot of ungovernable kind of a state. If you go to other countries such as Sudan, they have also been the same. They have not known peace and stability for a very, very long time. But I do believe if there would be the coming together of such like leaders, and see an eye to eye, and also coming together and decided that we shall put our self-interest apart and focus on the interest of the nation, then perhaps we would be getting somewhere as the African nation, as the African continent, and as an African people. But if we continue on, continuing with fights that not have any kind of an end, these fights will only destabilize the countries. And I do believe the French have been involved. The two of them are French puppets. The current president and the ex-president of the Ivory Coast, both of them are French puppets. And I do believe you might also hear another time now something else coming up. And now, the whole process is also broken apart. But I do believe that it's a good thing that we do see, these two leaders coming apart and are bringing together Ivory Coast, bringing together people of Ivory Coast, and also are sharing the same kind of a spirit to unify the people in whatever kind of a way that they would. Like I said, this has been the 54 corresponding show. I just wanted to highlight briefly on what is happening in Ivory Coast. Other things are also important to taking place in Africa, but we shall be focusing on them on subsequent episodes of the 54 corresponding show. For now, I want to thank everyone for joining us on the broadcast. Sister Lightbearer, thank you so much. I think Sister Lightbearer had taken a break. I haven't seen you for yesterday you were with us. I remember yesterday you were with us, but I hope that you are doing well. And I hope that everything is well for you and your family as well. Big T, thank you so much from Chicago. Much peace and love to you. We do appreciate you for being part of the Black Outarra network and your continued support. For anyone that would like to support the network, feel free to do so. You can support the network using the blackoutfarnetwork.com, or you can also use Cash App, Mr Gbagbo. And you can also engage with us on our social media platforms. We are on Twitter at Black Outarra. If you find anything that is of note you would like to share with us, please tag us at Black Outarra. You can tag us on Twitter. If you find anything that is of note that you would like us to note, you can also tag us on our Instagram at Black Outarra Network, and also on Facebook and other different platforms as well. We welcome that particular kind of an interaction on those platforms. For now, I want to thank everyone for being part of the network, and I also make sure to join us later today on the Africa Today show with the Black Outarra Network around maybe 3 hours from now. Please make sure to join us about 3.5 hours from now. We shall be live on these same platforms right here. Till next time, much peace and love. I want to say kwaheri.